Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I have a new video for you, and this time it is the cutest Nigiri kitties. I was gonna just make plain sushi keychains, but why do that when you can literally make them a cat? I hope you guys enjoy this video. I think it's pretty easy. It might be a little hard with the size, but you can definitely size up yarn and hook size to make a regular size plushie. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. For this project, you'll need fine weight chenille white yarn, yellow yarn, black yarn, pink yarn, orange yarn, and red yarn. You'll also need a 2mm hook, scissors and a needle, 1mm doll eyes, and not pictured, you'll also need a Sharpie and or embroidery thread. Alright guys, so to make our cat, we're going to grab our white fine weight yarn and a 2mm hook, and we're going to begin with a slip knot. We're now going to chain 8. Alright, so we're going to turn our work, and in the next 7 chains we're going to make a single crochet. Alright, chain 1 and turn your work, and we're now going to repeat that 4 more times for a total of 5 rows. Alright, so once we have those 5 rows done, we're then going to chain 1, and we're now going to crochet down the side here. So we're going to crochet down 5 single crochets, and then we're going to chain 1, and in the same stitch of our 5th single crochet, we're going to make another single crochet. We're now going to crochet down this lengthwise side, and we're going to make 7 single crochets across. We're again going to chain 1 and put another single crochet into the same stitch. And we're now going to go up the other side for a total of 5 single crochets. Chain 1 and put another single crochet into the same stitch, and then we're going to go down the last side for a total of 7 single crochets. We're going to finish off by chaining 1 once more and putting another single crochet. We're now going to chain 1 and cut off a long tail for sewing. We're going to put this piece aside for later, and we're going to repeat the same steps to make another square. But when you finish crocheting around the perimeter, don't fasten off and be sure to come back. Once you're caught up with your second square, we're now going to be making another row of single crochets around the border. When crocheting, we're going to skip over all the chain ones and only make single crochets where we made single crochets in the previous row. This should give you a total of 28 stitches. In the next 14 rows, we're just going to be making a single crochet into each stitch around. So you should have a piece that looks like this, and now we're just going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch and fasten off with a short tail. Before we close up the body though, we will have to put in the eyes first. I have these eyes that I believe are like 1mm, and they don't come with backs. But basically we're going to place the eyes in the center of the face on the edge of the square for both sides. And it should look something like this. And because mine didn't come with backs, I'm now going to flip my piece inside out and hot glue it from the inside. We're now going to grab the piece that we put aside earlier, and we're going to grab a needle, and we're going to start sewing it onto our other piece. So once we have it lined up to our liking, we're now going to start sewing it around. I recommend the mattress stitch, so to do that, you're going to go in through the body, and then in through the back piece. You're now going to go in through the back piece, and then through the body piece, and you're just going to repeat this all the way around. I'll meet you back when you have it almost closed up. Now that our body's almost sewn together, we're going to take some filling and we're going to start stuffing our body. I stuffed mine pretty firmly, but not too much that it lost its square shape. And now finish sewing the body up. To finish up, stick the needle through the back and come out the side of the body, and then you're going to cut the excess yarn and then stuff the rest into the body. To make the arms and legs, you're going to grab your white yarn and your 2mm hook, and we're going to begin with a magic circle. Chain 1 to secure it, and now we're going to put 5 single crochets into the circle. Pull the circle closed, and then for the next 2 rows, we're just going to put a single crochet into each stitch around. Alright, to finish off, we're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch and then cut off a long tail for sewing. Pull all the way through, And then you're going to repeat this 3 more times for a total of 4 legs. To make the ears, you're going to grab your hook and your yarn, and we're going to begin with a magic circle. Chain 1 to secure it, and then we're going to put 3 single crochets into the circle. Pull the circle closed, and then in the first stitch we're going to put an increase. Then in the remaining 2 stitches we're just going to put 1 single crochet for a total of 4 single crochets. We're then going to finish off with a slip stitch and a long tail for sewing. You're of course going to make 2 of them, and let's get started with the sewing. So I went ahead and pinned the ears where I want them, and I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing those down first. For the arms and legs, you're just going to fold them in half like this, and then point them outwards from each of the 4 corners of the body. Just like this. So this is what the front looks like, and this is what the back should look like. And with those pinned down, I'm going to start sewing them on right now. Okay guys, the last thing to do for the cat is to make the tail, so we're going to grab our hook and our yarn, and we're going to begin with a slip knot. We're then going to pull up a stitch in the back side, in the upper middle, and we're then going to connect it with a slip stitch. We're now going to chain 5, turn your work, and we're now going to make a single crochet into each chain across for a total of 4. Go into the same stitch we started from, and we're going to make another slip stitch. And then we're going to cut off a short tail. And to make the tail more sturdy, we're going to take these 2 tail ends and we're going to tie a double knot. We're then going to thread these 2 ends through 1 needle, and then we're going to take it through the back and out through the side of the body. So the next step will be to add blush to the cat. So we're going to grab our pink yarn and we're going to cut off a section about 18 inches long. We're then going to thread our needle and we're going to come in at the side of the face on the very edge and come out in a diagonal slant just underneath the eye. We're going to pull almost all the way through, leaving a small tail that will hold down in place, and then we're going to go through the same stitches again. We're going to go one more time, but this time we're not going to come out that same stitch. We're actually going to come out the other side of the face. We're then going to find our spot at the side of the face and come out through that same stitch. And we're going to do it one more time, and this time we're going to take our yarn to where we first started. We're then going to tie a double knot with these 2 tails, cut the excess, and then stuff it into the face. And now let's move on to the mouth. To make the mouth, you can either grab embroidery thread or a fine tip Sharpie. And if you want to embroider, I will teach you how to do that now. So you're going to start by cutting off a long strand of your embroidery floss. And usually embroidery floss, when you peel it apart, has 6 strands. For this project, we're just going to grab 2 of those strands and pull them away from the rest. And this is what we'll be using for our mouth. So to begin the mouth, do you see this line between the eyes? Well, we're going to take our needle and go under a stitch from that line. We're then going to go through the exact same stitch that we started from, and we're going to come out a stitch after the center stitch we came out from. We're then going to stick our needle through that same center stitch, and we're going to come down a row below our second loop we're about to make. So now we should have 2 dashes. Since we're beneath the second dash, we're going to take our needle and go under this loop. And we're going to also stick our needle through the stitch we just came out of. And then we're going to come out underneath the first loop we made. So by doing so, we will be making a little V to form our mouth. So now we're going to put our needle underneath the first line we made. Once we've pulled down our first loop, we are now going to stick our needle through that center stitch that we came out from and come out where we entered to begin with. So now you can see we've made a cute little W shape between the eyes. And so now we're going to take our tails and make a double knot. We're then going to cut the excess and then stuff it into the face. So if you wanted to make this cute little shape, you can with the fine tip Sharpie if you don't want to embroider. But yeah, now your cat is officially done. To make the salmon, grab your orange yarn and your 2mm hook, and we're going to begin with a slip knot. We're then going to start by chaining 10. We're now going to turn our work and make a single crochet in each chain across for a total of 9. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to repeat this for the next 14 rows. The instructions are also the same if you want to make the shrimp or the egg as well. To finish off this piece, we're going to make a chain, and then we're going to cut off a long tail for sewing. We're now going to repeat these steps so that we have a second identical piece, but for our second piece we're not going to fasten off. And I'll meet you back when that's done. Once we have our second piece made, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to start connecting both pieces together. So to do that, we're going to stick our hook through this left side, and then we're going to grab our other piece, making sure that both tails match up with each other. And we're also going to stick our hook through the exact same spot on the left side. We're then going to make a single crochet through both of these sides. We're going to go into the next row and put our hook through both sides and make a single crochet. And we're going to do this all the way down this long side for a total of 15 single crochets because we made 15 rows. You're going to follow these same steps if you're making the egg piece. And if you're making the shrimp, you're going to do the same thing, but instead of single crochets, you're going to make slip stitches. Once that's done, we're now going to work along this short edge. And we're going to do the same thing where we make a single crochet going through both sides, but this time it should be a total of 9 single crochets. We're now going to go up the second long edge, again for a total of 15 single crochets. And then we're going to stop halfway on this top edge so that we can fill our piece with stuffing. So when stuffing our pieces, if you're making the egg, you're going to barely stuff it. It's going to be practically flat with just a little bit in there. If you're making the salmon, you're going to add about a medium amount of stuffing so that it's more filled out than the egg, but not too stuffed. And if you're making the shrimp, you're going to overstuff it, make it really full so that it looks really rounded. When you're done stuffing, finish closing up your piece. When you're done, finish off with a slip stitch, and you're going to cut off a short tail. So if you're making a salmon, you could definitely leave it as is, but if you want to add that cute stripe detail, you're first going to locate your long tail and make sure it's facing towards the bottom. So we're going to work on this top side here. So to do that, we're going to grab our white yarn and we're going to cut off a piece between 12 and 18 inches. And then we're going to thread our needle. So to begin, we're just going to kind of visualize where we want our stripes. We're going to enter through the seam and make a diagonal direction coming out the seam on the other side. We're going to pull through until we just have a little tail, and then we're going to come in through the stitch that we first entered through, and we're going to come down a few rows. So that should leave you with the first stripe. And now we're going to see where we want to put our second one. So we're going to stick our needle through the seam, and then we're going to come out a few rows below that. We're again going to see where we want to place our diagonal, and we're going to insert our needle where we like it. And once again, we're going to come out a few rows below that. Lastly, we're going to see where we want our last diagonal stripe to lay. We're going to stick our needle through that stitch, and then we're going to come out where we first started from, and then we're just going to make a double knot with our tails. Cut off the excess and then stuff the rest into the salmon. To make the shrimp, we're going to begin by making the little shrimp tail. So we're going to grab our red yarn and we're going to make a slip knot. So we're going to identify which direction our tail is facing. It should be facing down, and we're going to use the bottom side of the slip stitches to make our tail. So only go through this part, don't go through the whole thing, just through the bottom middle part. So we're going to attach it with a slip stitch, and we're going to start by chaining 6. In the third chain from our hook, we're going to yarn over and make a half double crochet. We're then going to make a half double crochet into the remaining 3 chains for a total of 4. We're then going to make a slip stitch into the very next stitch on the shrimp body, but again, not going all the way through. And then we're once again going to chain 6. Again, in the third chain from our hook, we're going to make a half double crochet. And we're going to make a half double crochet into the remaining 3 chains for a total of 4. We're again going to go into the very next stitch and make a slip stitch. And then we're going to fasten off with the short tail. To make the stripe details, we're going to thread our needle with a piece of red yarn about 12 inches long. And we're going to start at the top, and from seam to seam, we're just going to make a horizontal line. We're going to pull through until there's a little tail on the side, and then we're going to re-enter where we first came in through. We're then going to move diagonally to the next row, and then we're going to shoot across the other side, but also go through diagonally. So we're basically making a zigzag pattern, but on the surface it looks like horizontal stripes. So again, we're going to go in through the side, come out diagonally, and then shoot across, and then come out diagonally. So I like the look of about 4 stripes. You can do as many as you want. But once I have that, I'm going to re-enter where I came out from, and I'm going to pull out where I first entered from, where my small tail is. I'm then going to make a double knot, cut off the excess, and then stuff it into the shrimp. The final touch to the shrimp is we're going to take our long pink tail and we're going to thread our needle with it. We're going to enter in through the bottom left of the shrimp and come out the bottom right. We're going to give it a tight pull, and then now we're going to go through the bottom right and come out the bottom left, giving it another tight pull, basically cinching the bottom so it doesn't look like a square anymore. And now your shrimp is done. So now we're going to grab our cat and our fish, shrimp, or egg, and we're going to start sewing it onto our cat's back. So we're going to start by threading our needle. We're going to place it where we like it on our cat. I actually thought it would be kind of cute if he was sort of wearing it between his ears. So I'm going to put it a little bit more forward. But yeah, once you have it where you like it, we're just going to go ahead and start sewing it on. Alright, so if you made Egg Cat, there's one more detail that we need to make, and that's the little seaweed strap thingy going around. So we're going to grab dark green or black. I only have black, so I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I'm going to start by chaining 31. We're now going to turn our work and make a single crochet into each chain across for a total of 30 single crochets. So you should have something that looks like this, and we're now going to wrap it around our kitty, and going into the other side we're going to secure it with a slip stitch. You're now going to cut off a long tail for sewing and pull all the way through. Rotate it so that the seam is on the bottom of the cat, and we're now going to sew it in place. I didn't want to sew every stitch, so instead I just sewed very big chunks all the way around the band until I reached the beginning again. Now that I reached the end, I'm going to go all the way through the cat and come out the egg, and I'm going to now stuff these 2 tails into the cat. And now our egg kitty's all done. And if you wanted to make these a keychain, grab a keychain and some pliers, and you're going to spread open the jump ring with your pliers and fingers. And now you're going to grab your crochet hook, and wherever you want to put the keychain, you're going to loosen a stitch by putting your hook underneath it. You're now going to loop your jump ring under that stitch and then close it up. And now your sushi kitties are all done. Thank you guys so much for watching this silly little tutorial of mine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. And starting next week, I have a very exciting series I'm about to release. I think it's going to be so fun. I've been working on it for a long time, so I'm really excited to start releasing it. So stay tuned for that, and thank you guys so much for your support. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!